All right, we are now live in the Facebook group. So welcome everybody to Airtable Off the Record, Airtable Secrets and Lore. Let's see. Yep, we are definitely live. So we are a group of Airtable users attempting to, or we're exploring new ways to use Airtable to optimize our businesses and lives. We're open to hearing from anyone about their experience, good or bad, using Airtable to make a positive impact in the world. And we also attempt to promote people coming from any levels to share their ideas or ask questions about Airtable. We also share our experiences, tips, and practices, and offer ways to get help and get involved in the community. We meet every Wednesday from 7 to 7:30 in Clubhouse, which shout out Clubhouse. They just went Android as well. I didn't see anybody from that uses Android on there, but next week maybe we'll get some of you guys on there. And yeah, so we share ways to get involved in the community from 7:30 to 8. We meet here in Facebook. We do a live stream in Zoom, so you can check out the link in the description if you would like to join this live, if you're watching this live. So to kick things off, typically we go through some Airtable news. So I think this week we went through some on the iOS mobile app. They enabled duplication of records. Another one was Airtable. I was demoing Airtable for a client and it went down in the middle of my demo. So that was unfortunate. And then I saw a few API outages this week were reported by various sources. Someone else had some other news, did they not?
Well, I had that same thing that you saw, except I had someone offer to send me a screenshot. Apparently, Airtable internally has a beta of a new UI. So not UI, but like user experience, like front end. So like a Pory stacker, etc. So that's exciting. And if you're following along at home, playing the game at home, we've been calling for the demise of all of these third-party companies for some time. Hope you enjoyed the money. Now go take your chips and leave the casino. The game is over. The dealer is about to cash in.
Oh, so you guys mean like UI interface?
Oh, deep. Yeah, yes.
I missed this, right? I was a little late.
Well, you were cooking chicken bones and napping.
I
No,
wasn't
so
cooking.
apparently, yeah. Okay, maybe you were other chicken bones, but apparently, well, not apparently. I've literally, well, there's a user experience coming, a front end user experience, which I think is a big deal. But before we get to the juicy stuff, let's go back to duplication on mobile. Big deal. What I thought was interesting about the duplication on mobile this week was if you look at the hollowed Airtable What's New, it's not listed. So this what's new is like literally what's old. So they're not updating this list. And if you're an Airtable user and you're not like subscribed or dragging this what's new page to let you know when there's updates, this is the page. Other thing we talked about on the other thing I thought I mentioned is another page every Airtable user should know is Airtable status, which is just status.airtable.com. You can subscribe to updates. These usually happen faster than Twitter, but if you ever gotta, you've got to know what's going on. That's the place to go. But no, so the Airtable.
I wonder if they use like Zapier or something where it waits like with 15 minutes to tweet.
Well, that's not a status then.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Come on.
This week's outage delay, like the tweet delay, was actually like more significant than normal. Like I knew it was down, and Down Detector was getting the same thing, but like no tweets were issued, I don't think, until it was fixed.
Yeah, we need like Airtable Viagra. Howie, get on it because it's down too much. Too soon? Off the rails? Yeah. Off the rails. Off the rails. Yeah, so I think the duplicate thing, but the other big news this week, I don't know if you guys saw this, but our favorite front end, Stacker, has a new version. So what I'm confused about, and if someone wants to Stacker wants to come on since they're not paying us, Gareth, how is the Stacker contract going? But what they're doing now with Stacker is they've got this whole new interface. Now, I don't know if this is like Stacker X because they had this whole thing called Stacker X for a while, but it looks pretty cool. But I think most interestingly, for those of you who've been following the Stacker saga at home, Stacker has some interesting new pricing. So they now have a starter at $60 a month. I don't know if it's always been this low. When I was looking at, say that one more time.
Is there no free anymore? Because you could like.
Oh, you're right. There used to be a free.
You could test it out as much as you want. You just couldn't make it go live
You're right. I forgot about that.
for free.
I remember there was like free and 290.
Yeah.
Oh, it's start for free right there. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know what start for
Completely
free means.
missed it.
But I think this is interesting because, again, this starter low pack, because when I originally was going to move my system, I didn't want to spend $300 a month. $300 a month is, what, $3,600 a year plus Airtable? And that would give me some editing ability. It's, oh, wait, plus $300 a month plus $15 per month per user.
Oh, so you're limited to 5, 10, or 20 users.
Mm-hmm. For editability. So at that point, I mean, you're already spending what, $24 a month for Airtable? Why wouldn't you just go straight Airtable other than the robustness?
Start for free and finish with your firstborn child.
I thought that was like the one good thing about using Stacker was that you got around that Airtable pricing model of per seat. And now they've just introduced it here. Like that's what the front end was giving people, is like they weren't paying per user anymore. Is that wrong?
What's Softr? SOFTR?
Yeah.
So what is Softr pricing now? All right, so you've got 0, 24, 65. So Softr is significantly cheaper. And from what I can tell, I don't know much, seems to be more robust, although the Stacker community, let's be honest, they were early to the game, so they've got a lot of hardcore fans. I still say if you're considering these three things, Pory is the way to go, because look at the difference. So here we go. We've got like build something, improve it, works for free, like literally free.
Mm.
Or, okay, you got a little free here. And then they've got a little branding. Okay, so it's very similar. I'd say these two are compatible, right? And then 59. Or 12, or memberships. This is the new one that I'm running now. I like this one. I think this is good. I like the white labeling. I don't know what that means. I'll have to ask. I'm meeting with Pory tomorrow. But, when you look at the difference in these three prices,
means they wouldn't have Pory branding, would it?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. The Pory, yeah, but these says branding removed. I don't know the difference between white labeling and branding removed. See that?
I think, well, I don't know. It depends on what they do. I don't know, like white labeling in terms of like physical products. I think like Vistaprint, if they white label, like they'll ship to your customers from them, like from you or something.
That's usually what white labeling means. Yeah.
This $149 a month for account manager, that's interesting because that makes me think you could use this as a development platform, like I've been saying. So where you as a company deploy Pory solutions, but I don't know. I'm meeting with them tomorrow. I'll find out what that means.
Is that something new that they've shipped recently? Because I didn't see like a good, like robust option like the business plan before.
Again, I'm coming now for the first time. I'm seeing if anything else is new. Password protected page is not new. Social, no. And right now, I'll ask tomorrow. We're meeting with the Pory folks tomorrow, so maybe we'll find out. But all this is interesting because if and when Airtable does some sort of front-end user experience, what does it do to these companies? Thoughts, questions?
I think it kind of wipes them out.
Well, I think Airtable's UI, whatever it's going to look like, is going to be tied to Airtable's look, right? I don't know that you'll have a custom style editor on an Airtable native thing.
So what I believe to be true is you will look like a blog page designer, but where I think they're going to get you, does any of you, we didn't talk about this on the show, but didn't you notice like in the last 3-4 months, Airtable started adding this janky screen once you submit a web form? You've been using Airtable. Sign up today. It's like all of a sudden they're advertising to me. Like, no. I don't want that janky use Airtable modal when I submit a form. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
I haven't seen
you can't really take it off.
Yeah, it makes me very, very, very frustrated. I'm thinking it'll be one of these things. It's just like everything else, just like the new views. It'll be like a pro thing if you want to actually edit it beyond just a certain amount of, a certain feature set.
I could see them. So, in my opinion, like Airtable compared to other softwares is like Apple compared to Android. So I feel like they're gonna release something that looks a lot like what Airtable is, and it's going to be like in the Airtable format. And I think that's one of Airtable's biggest selling features, because like they're really easy to use. It looks pretty great. Like especially if you use like the joy pixels and everything to the extent that Chris does in his bases, like specifically, then like it looks really hot, especially compared to something like Android. So that compared to I can't even remember like Google Sheets or
I think that speaks to my whole confusion around the pricing model, right? It looks good enough if you don't need it to be super customized, and it's like user friendly enough that if you don't need it to be super customized, you're good. But why are they chasing enterprise if that's the case? Because like enterprise is going to want custom look and custom function, right? Small business or small community groups are the people that are okay with like, oh, this works like an iPhone. Cool, great, let's use it, right? Enterprise has bigger challenges than that.
Well, I feel like they started off as like that was one of their core features, and so it's kind of just stayed there, and they can't really get away from not having a good user experience, because if they make something bad, then like people would be pretty upset, because that's one of their selling features. So I feel like if they wanted to do like one of these portals, maybe they'll offer like instead of, if you're on the pro plan, instead of $24 per portal user, maybe it'll be like $5 a user. They can access at most 3 bases or 3 tables or something.
But I think, Devin, to your point that we had when we talked about pricing, with the advent of a user experience out in front, they then actually have to look at pricing, because then right now they're making all their money by forcing people into this full-on experience. And the minute they actually roll something that's like this out, unless it's like Pory initially was, where you actually couldn't, well, Pory still is in Softr to some ways, you couldn't edit a record. It's you know, it's really no more like my CPA has I built my CPA screen off my website. It's password protect and everything, and allows my CPA to come in here, leave me message. So here's me leaving my CPA message today. There's my CPA leaving me a message today. And we just do it all through these forms, and we can see each other at the same time. She can get to my statements and my transactions, etc. But like that is more than enough for most people. And you know, the one big gripe people have when it comes to Airtable is, well, I want to edit my records. And from my experience so far, I can see where that would be useful. But at that point, like how often are you really even going to edit records? Right? I mean, the reality is you're going to append a record, right? So that's different than editing. You can append with a form, right? Select the other record you want to append to, and then with a form, right? Because the minute you put a form, you can tie to another record. So you could create a view where just the only thing filtered in the form view are like for this accounting thing I just showed you. When they do this, the only option they have is to pick themselves, which then creates the record in the view, right? So we've got a two-way sync right there. Is this making sense? I don't want to go too fast. So I don't know. I think we have to go back and look at our predictions, our 12-month predictions. I think we're closer to an overhaul of the pricing than we originally thought. And
I would love that, because I'm literally like, you know, the thing that drives me nuts is 2 people with an Airtable account can't collaborate together.
Yeah, it costs us $500 to talk to each other.
Yeah. And I think that is just like stifling use. Because like, I can't bring my buddy on to like work on something. Basically like another Clubhouse event and like a, you know, an Airtable thing to manage the things we talk about, because it's going to either cost like, you know, both of us or one of us like money without it making sense. Or like he's going to have to like send me money every month to like put him on my workspace, even though then he can't use it on his own.
Plus the whole idea that Airtable bills you for a whole year at once. Right. So, I mean, everyone always comes with, I just got a $500 charge on my credit card. You're like, well, buddy, if you've got a $500 limit, you're doing better than 99% of the public. So, sorry, a little social commentary, because that's how I roll. But off the rails. I don't know. I think it's coming. But seriously, the big question, though, we have to get back to these companies, because I'm fascinated by these third-party front ends. Companies like Softr, which, what, 25 million did they get? Who remembers the number? We can look it up later. Stacker, I think, got some cash. What you have to wonder, these companies that are bankrolling them and throwing money at them, Did they not like do some due diligence? Like what happens if Airtable replicates our business model? I mean, what type of investor would throw money at that? So either A, Airtable's never going to touch that, or B, someone spent $25 million with the most lamest of due diligence and probably should be divorced and thrown out of the country. I mean, who would give that much money to a company? I mean, if you guys thought about this, if Softr got $25 million, knowing that their whole model is based on Airtable not having a front end, and then Airtable puts a front end, I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I feel like Softr would be the big idiots there, but like Google Stacker goes with Google Sheets too. And I know I think they have a lot of Google Sheets customers, and I don't ever see Google. Well, I guess they very well could put a front end on like Google Sheets, but I don't know that they would, because it's been the same thing for so long, it seems like. So I think they're more safe having two pillars instead of just one being Airtable. But Softr is just they're kind of out.
Yeah. So it's 2 million. It's not 25 million. So you wouldn't. And listen, I see people raise $2 million for fart apps. So I mean, this is not a big pressure move, but it does make. I did not know they were German. That kind of makes sense though, looking at some of their other stuff. This is interesting though, because even at $2 million, it's still a risky investment. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward wanting to try Softr, but I'm so heavily invested in Pory now, and I just have a good feeling about Pory. We'll see. Interesting. Go ahead.
I kind of wish Airtable would buy Pory.
I mean, I think Airtable probably could have bought Softr or Stacker. But again, you have to look at Howie's track record. I don't think Howie's could do anything that he didn't build. I mean, Howie's all about the code. His whole career is just, custom codes. I just don't think that's going to happen. I did a demo today for our speaking demo today for our client, and I worked up my quote for them. And one of the things I'm offering now, are you ready? So I normally do live, keynotes and stuff all over virtually now, although I've got a bunch in Europe this fall. I've been offering Plus where I do multi-sessions or tape, but today I sold my first custom dev. So what a lot of people don't know is the Habit Store, that site that tweets out also onto my Twitter, that's built on Pory, that has an Airtable backend. The Habit Store was actually also a custom dev for the U.S. Army. Bet you guys didn't know that. So this was built for the U.S. Army based on a presentation I did for them. Why am I telling you all this? Because I had my second client ask for a custom site tied to my speaking gig today. So this is pretty cool. I want you guys to think about this for a second. Not only am I getting paid to speak, but I'm getting paid to build tools around the keynote I'm going to give. That is like really cool when you think about kind of the future of like, what does it mean to be a speaker or an entertainer? Because,
so what does the site hold?
It's interesting you should ask. So remember we had this daring conversation recently about doing some things. So they've asked me to replicate that into a site for their users so they could build custom little live resumes. So the site will be there. We'll have some of the users' resumes up. And then after my keynote, I will do a breakout workshop where I teach people to do it live, Ben, just like a legitimate class we wanted to do. And I'll get paid to do the whole thing.
That's pretty sweet. Sounds like a good model to get into.
But think about it. I mean, I think a lot of people who are Airtable users need to stop thinking about like, who am I going to go consult for, and think, what do I do naturally and how can I add on services to it? Because no matter what you do, you can add an Airtable component, no matter who your customer is. If it's Devin with his cooking sites, right? Rebecca with, what she does for her family, but maybe Rebecca's got a hobby where she collects Cabbage Patch dolls from the 80s or something. It doesn't really matter. I know when, I don't know if I ever showed you guys, but my spouse built a Nightmare Before Christmas Airtable to manage his collection. Ever showed you this one? Mm-hmm. You guys are like, you have another crazy Chris Dancy collection? I do. So this is but what's interesting about this is we have people wanting to buy the collection from us. So this is like every Nightmare Before Christmas doll widget. And what we did was we built a big database of pre-orders and things that are coming out, but we built a big database of things that he needs or doesn't have, missing Funkos we have, etc., all Funkos. But now that we started sharing this, there are users who collect Nightmare Before Christmas who want to just buy the database so they can say what they have or don't have. So again, you guys have to start thinking like, stop taking Airtables and making these little widgets for your passions and start finding a way you can like share that. And I really think with these external tables, that might be something we could start to talk about. But there's so many, I think, amazing ideas that are starting to happen when you say, okay, how does Airtable not only extend what I'm doing right here for my life or for my business, but how does it extend me like in working with other businesses? I mean, Devin, couldn't you see you selling parts of your Airtable system you built for your company to other companies with similar business models?
Oh, if I was allowed to, sure. The most interesting one that I have is
You're allowed.
Is a well, technically not under a contract, but
we'll see. You're in Canada. You can get out of it.
I have one.
Justin
I've got
Trudeau.
I've got a base that basically tracks competing vertical farms by technology area or in like various like areas, right? So like you've got listed companies and you've got recent investments and perhaps people like staff, all the various technology areas, all the tech they use, lighting, the substrate, seed, all these different things, products, grown varieties, you name it, and slowly building that information out, which you could basically like sell to other vertical farms, which would love to have a landscape of the industry.
You're on mute.
I've been trying to get my second book out the door for some time now, but I've been writing my whole second book in Airtable. So I've got all the chapters here, and as I do chapter ideas, they go into this idea capture form, which when stuff hits me, inspiration in the middle of the night, which then goes into kind of the chapter order and then all the different parts of the chapter. So when I write it, the book ends up just writing itself because I have the outline there. As I capture ideas, then the editor gets it and makes it really quick. So I'm just stunty this week. I'm feeling my oats. Stop, Rebecca. I know how you're thinking. So yeah, that's this week. I don't know. I think it's a big week for Airtable. I don't know what these new outages mean. There've been a couple, but I think there's something coming. But we'll see. We pontificated. We thought the big stuff was over a couple weeks ago. Daniel, what's going on with your spirit table, your eternity table, your now or your forever? Have you done any more? Do you have anything to show us?
No, actually, I haven't. I actually haven't. I've been trying to stay ahead of work, and yeah, I've gotten another year or so added worth of data. I was going to try to go out about 5 years instead of 10, just because there might be some life changes happening in about 5-year mark. No, I've literally been thinking that I need to start adding some more fields and getting some shortcuts set up so that I can go from my phone straight into the view.
Are you doing anything with journaling in it yet?
Because I'm caught between two sides of it, that's literally the reason why I would be adding more fields, is so that I could journal into it, and then I'd be looking at trying to copy the data over from the journal table on the other side into that, so that I've got it all in one place. So. Yeah.
Because Rebecca, you've got a spirit table too, or at least something you do with tarot. Are you journaling in yours?
I ended up taking photographs of my decks and stuff, so I've been photo editing for the base images. So I haven't worked anymore on the actual base structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a little Airtable hack I can show. So there's dates.
Yeah, you have to show us the dates.
Go for it.
You or Rebecca.
I'll share. All right, so Airtable dates. Can you guys see?
Yep.
Awesome. So what I did was using an auto number field. The trick is getting to the 40,000. So this is just like one table and a new base I just created. And this is an auto number field. So every field will just add one. And then I used a formula to say date add whenever your start date is. So whenever you want to start your date, put that there.
Okay.
And then base it off of, so like the number of dates after that date should be this auto number field. And then
Okay.
and then count the number of days. So if you wanted like weeks, so you could just do like times 7 there, and you would get like every week. So like after one month.
Or you just change the date add formula to be weeks, right?
Or that too. You could do that if you're really
So
smart.
will it handle leap years and all that?
It should. So kind of how I
Yeah,
get
because you're adding days, right? So
You're just adding one. So there could be like, since it's a formula, it's not a true date format. So like February 30th doesn't exist.
no, but it's a date formula, so it's you're adding dates.
He's
to a
still
date.
on weeks.
Yeah. So like this is my best way of getting to 40,000 is just keep on like duplicating it this way.
Oh, so you can't. Well, didn't someone say, Rebecca, or someone say you could drag it?
Yeah, I can. I've got a base up. I
Oh,
can
only if you have the records open, right? If you
Yeah.
have blank records, you can drag through like you would Excel, but you have to have those open. You can't drag, as far as I know, into like uncreated records.
But if you hold Shift Enter, it'll create as many records. It'll create a whole bunch of records really fast.
Shift enter.
The trick, I mean, you could just hit, yeah, you just hold Shift Enter to create records using this formula, and then you've got the best of both worlds.
So if I just hold it down.
It should, yeah. The only tricky thing is that if you ever delete any records in this, your auto number gets screwed up.
So I missed it. Do you actually just drag the date, or did Rebecca show us that yet?
I can show it.
Just put the
Oh.
formula in and then hit Shift Enter, and it creates new records, and the formula will catch up.
Rebecca, show us. I trust. I want to see Rebecca. Plus, we never can see Rebecca's screen. I think there's something nice about seeing someone's screen. It's like getting to go through their sock drawer.
Am I showing the right thing?
Yeah, you're showing it.
So multi-select.
Wow. So you could just drag forever.
But the records have to be open, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the problem I have was how do I get that many empty fields?
Yeah, the records have to be open. So that's where the Shift Enter comes in. So if you do Ben's formula and you just hold Shift Enter,
It would
then
make the
it will
dates right.
it would create new records, and the formulas would make the dates.
The-
So every new record would have the correct date.
Yeah, the trick with mine is at some point you like take it out of the formula field and you just convert it to a date, and it will convert your formula dates into real dates, and then you don't have to you rely on the auto number field.
Dan had that, Dan had that scary thing when he was like, when he linked his moon to his moon images. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm trying to see at how long I can keep on pasting, and I feel like I tried copying like 5,000 records the other day, and it wouldn't let me. So we'll see how long I can keep going. I'm at like 7,800. Seems to still be working.
Oh, February works, but I don't know about the leap year thing.
2024 is a leap year.
It should, because it's using dates, right? So it should.
We're not going to test it. It's like we're trying to do Y2K stunts on Airtable. For those of you who are over 30, remember the Y2K nightmare that it was.
I still remember the precise place where I was when the clock went over from 1999 to 2000.
It was
Oh,
it was a
my.
scary time.
Yeah, walked outside and expected to see the lights of the city where I live just go out in one of those like disaster movie sorts of things.
My dad actually worked on a committee. He worked in healthcare at one of the hospitals, and they actually had like a committee with like you know, the military, the fire department, the local like oil company that had a bunch of like oil reserves, and like police and whatnot, and like, you know, discuss contingencies.
So I got you roughly 86 years of dates now. I got 31,000 records. If you want to see.
Yes, please.
Yes. So the process after you get all your dates. So I just kept on copying and pasting until it kept doubling up to like 16,000.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna bail. I gotta get to my appointment, but
Later.
we'll see you guys next week.
So the process here, these are all dates now. So to not rely on the auto number field anymore, to just change this to a date. And this should convert all of those to the actual dates. Yeah. So now, and if you want this, well, actually, it's not. Actually, I think if I showed it through a free plan, then you put it in your paid plan, it would work. But
Yeah, because I really want the date range I want is like the date I was born through like 19, like, I don't know, 2000. I don't know what I think I calculated 43 is my death date, because I really want to go back and backdate. I have a lot of old memories I've done on stuff, but I don't have every single day, and I want to be able to like tell that.
what was your birthday?
October 11th, 1968. You know, if you want, I can tell you the date it's calculated. I'm going to die. Hold on.
What calculated that you're going to die?
I have an app that calculates my death.
But can you
based on my behavior. That's weird. Yeah, sorry.
How accurate do you think it'll be?
I don't know. I mean, if I get angry enough, it's going to be completely wrong because I'll kill myself. No, so right now, basically just look at your health and all the other kind of stuff, and then in your daily meditation. I get points for meditating, points for exercising. I don't think it looks at food consumption.
Yeah. Do you want a nice CSV of all the dates until
when? Can you make it go to like 20? Oh, you've got 54? Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. And we can add more too.
Yeah.
How far do you want it? Do you want it past?
54 is fine. I won't live past that. I mean, my body won't. I'll still be here.
Deal.
I'll still be running the show. Send me a CSV of that. I would love that. Can I show you guys something I did recently that changed my life with the Airtables?
Yeah, show us.
So I use my Airtable for a lot of meetings and stuff like that. I mean, and I use the integration to Google Calendar, and it sounds really lame, but something I always have trouble with is when I do a meeting, I always have like I want the meeting information, and I also want the like agenda. So one of the things I did recently was I updated the format so it puts the information in really nice, like the time, title, summary, etc. But recently I changed it so that it automatically, like I just created this while we were talking. So it created this meeting record for tomorrow, and automatically, so there's the default stuff. It pulls out of the calendar for me, but then it automatically created an agenda notes area for me. So whenever I create a new calendar appointment or someone creates one for me, I automatically have a place for my notes that's formatted. It's super nice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that like made such like a good deal. And the other reason I wanted the dates I was just telling you is, do you see this calendar, this map down here? So this map has like a bunch of things from like me growing up, and they're very specific dates. And I usually can click on one of these things and see. So there's one in 1983. So I can see that house I lived in and some memories about it. But I don't have all the dates going back just yet. So
did you make a journal digital that you kept when you were younger? And like
journal digital when I was younger, plus every picture I have has the metadata, which usually has a location and date at least. And I just imported those in, and then on the table, because one of my tables is called timeline. which is like a timeline of all like my life, but then my husband's life. Like when you, because a lot of times you want to know when you went to school or when you had a job or when you live somewhere. And that kind of stuff is like really nebulous for people to find. So I think in like your personal Airtable, you should have like a timeline feature. But if you're going to have that, I think it's really useful to have a map, because a lot of times when you click on a map, it's easier to browse your memories by that. If that makes sense. Like, when was this?
That's cool.
Another thing, when I look at it, yeah, like the other day I spoke to a guy named Alva Baker, who I was a 16-year-old kid, and he hired me at 16 to run his medical office in the 80s. So after I talked to him, while I was on the phone with him, like I asked him, here's this information. So while I was on the phone with him, I was like asking him all these questions about what I was like as a kid, and I was recording the whole time, right? Because he's like 80 years old now. And so I saved the recording and tagged it to that job from 1985. So I've got like a little verbal memory of him speaking about what it was like. I don't know. I think people should care about themselves as much as Mark Zuckerberg does.
Yes. It random question at some point, if you can share it or something. What was the mechanics that went into importing the data from your calendar into your timeline such that you ended up with that template in Airtable like that?
So it's just an Airtable. I'll show you. It's just an Airtable automation.
Okay.
And in the automation, sorry, you just say when an event is created.
Okay.
It's like a normal thing. And then this is the calendar. I've got a bunch of different Google calendars, and then it creates a record. And then for the detail of the record, so I have it fill out the form in my Airtable, but then in the detail, I have it do all of this.
Ah, okay.
So it's really
Okay.
elegant. It's really great, especially when people come in through Calendarly. That looks different, so I know, and that's a different color code and everything else. So those are different than meetings I have, because I also book, like my whole journal table is based on by type of, and Ben has something similar, like type of interaction, like email to, like this is an email to versus an email from versus a scheduled meeting. Because a lot of times when I'm looking at a specific client, so let's just say I'm looking at this client, I want to be able to come in and pull that client up, but I want to quickly see all the interactions with that client by type of interaction, or all the tasks for that client. So a lot of times, let me find a client that I've got some tasks with. Oh, that's doctor's tasks. I know it. Oh, here's one. Okay, you can see the task there, but if I go into like this event or this CRM record, I've got the interactions for that client, but also if there are any specific tasks. So there's the people, there's a document, which is the agreement for this client. Does it make sense? I mean, I think it's pretty simple. There's the task for it. The task also then backlinks to all the same journal entries. So everything's like a big loopy loop. One thing leads to another.
Okay.
But yeah, so that formatting thing, and what I didn't take time to do a lot of times was use the markup language to make it look real nice when it writes it. So, hashtags get the header. So yeah, it's just like quick little pretty hacks. Again, your Airtable should look good enough to eat.
Right.
One thing I implemented this week in my business CRM is I put emojis on everything.
Oh, show us
On the table.
Can you give us just a quick screenshot? Or people are always like, don't want to show their
see if I
life.
can pull it up.
Rebecca, did you like that? Did you think it looked cool?
So I guess the only thing I didn't do was the views. I'll just collapse everything.
I know. It's like once you do a couple of views, you got to do them all, or else every base looks ugly.
Yeah. Then I won't go into any other views if I don't. So I just took the first step and I added these up here. So
you use interactions too. That's what I used to call it. Then I moved it to journal.
Yeah. So I use interactions and consultation. So this one, like interactions.
Oh, that's separate for you.
Yeah, because they're separate. Like these ones are just digital. These ones are like I'm active.
Yeah, you meet with people, get their. Are the consultations tied to Miros? Because I do a Miro for every consultation.
Mm-hmm. They are not. So I have contacts, and so that could be a company, a person. I don't have.
So they can be both.
Yeah, so I typically only ever talk with one person at any company, or they are just like a one-person company. So that's why I just have them all in here. And then interactions are like emails or like incoming emails, outgoing emails. Or there's a few other ones I think that can end up in there. And then these are any of like the audit calls. So I offer like a free 30-minute call, and I have kind of like questions that I walk through on that I ask them, and then a place to put a Loom video if I do a Loom video on it. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's just any revenue that's tied to a client. I wish I could come in here and show you without showing all the clients, because there's one or two that I can't show the name of. But on anybody that I do hourly with, on their invoice, the like quantity of the product is like the number of hours, and
Nice.
then I track all my time in Toggl, and so the Toggl entries come in, and so it gets it all links back up to their contact. So like when I onboard them, there's an automation that adds like their email as a project in Toggl. So I'll use that project when I'm working for them. And then in here, it takes like the difference of how many hours they've paid for versus how many hours I've used on them. I'll get a notification when it gets low, but it gives me like a good idea of where they're at. And then they also get a view of any time I've worked for them, and like how many hours are remaining.
Wow. So can we get you to make a real-time update? So I'll just be satisfied, because it's making me crazy. You don't have an emoji for your actual base name.
Oh, I just use like this thing.
Yeah, but use the real rocket. Change that name of that base real time. Come on.
Okay. Shout out that hack.
It's control command space.
Yep. Best. Yes.
Boom.
Wait, so
Oh.
why is there two now?
I think you have to unselect it down there.
There.
Look how
No.
good that looks now. Looks
I
good
was
enough to.
I think I was on the like Chrome version, and it came up as like two of them right there. And I wonder if that was because of the same reason why it showed right there. But that looks
Whenever
really-
I do my field descriptions, I always have a lot of. You ever do field descriptions?
I do on other people's bases.
Yeah. I always have lots of emojis in those so people know what they mean and everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
But I was proud I added these.
It looks good. I like the fact you use a heart for interactions. That shows some character. Are reviews like actual reviews of your work?
Yeah, those are like testimonials, I would say.
Yeah, I have. I had that. Yeah, that's a good
Testimonial.
thing to have. Resources are things you use for other people.
Yeah, so that's like a list of like Airtable hacks, if I remember right.
Oh, just use the drop down list so we don't have to scroll across.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. Daily reports, team members. So you got it good. It's very simple. No descriptions. I like it very clean.
Yeah.
Not a.
I really like. I can't go into this table again, but that one I actually just did a video on this one. I'd like to see like what my monthly trends are. So I'll say like, for example, if somebody paid an invoice today, that'd be the number 12 because it's the 12th day of the month. But if somebody paid an invoice on December 12th or like September 12th, that would be like the number 12 no matter what. And so you can see like, do you collect more, or do you get more like calls in the first week, the first, second week, or do you collect more invoices than like the first week, third week, fourth week of the month? So that one's been just kind of cool to see.
And the couple people I've been working with, whenever they've got like multiple invoices for a contract, I always just create tasks. So when they come up, I know to do it. And then I have, when I create an invoice task, a automation creates a duplicate follow-up on invoice task after my net, it's usually net 30, just because I can't keep up with people who don't pay. It's just like, and
Yeah.
I don't have time for it. I mean, I've been really lucky. Most of my clients usually pay upfront all of it, but some of them like they don't want to.
That's how I just do everything up front, and then I know in my mind, like if it's not all up front, then it's by milestones, or I get notifications for hours. So
That's so cool.
the one thing that I don't have in there is project management. So all my project management is separate.
Different base.
Yep, and a different base, and that's because like there's projects that aren't tied to clients. So that one is
life.
clients, but some tasks end up being related to clients.
Yeah. To me, when I remember the first time I looked at Airtable and I looked at kind of just the workspaces themselves, to me, this is so nice. To me, it would make so much more sense if I could just link workspaces to workspaces. I know we talk about this all the time, but like this workspace layout is so elegant. Like, why would you just have this, but you really can't.
Yeah, that looks very nice.
Doesn't it? I mean, yeah, it's like I want to like link all these things together.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to use like at least some sort of a color coordination on your workspace level, like you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that one gets way too chaotic.
My favorite place to use color coordination, I'll show you another little Airtable kind of quick win, is in my bills. So I have got two different bills by autopay status. So if they're red, it's something I need to manually deal with. If it's green, it's going to be taken care of automatically. If it's blue, it's taken care of automatically, but it's handled through the bank. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I like this one, but my favorite one is by calendar view. So these things in red are big things that come once a year. So you have some bills that are big, they hit you once a year. Like having those like jump out at you is such like an amazing, I'll go here. Like, this, I said to my spouse the other day, like, hey, you've got this membership coming up. It's $120. Did you get any value from it this year? Did you use it at all?
Is it just like anything over $100 gets?
No, it's anything that's once a year, because stuff that bills once a year is always a little pricey.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that bills once a year that's not pricey. Right. So, trying to figure out like if this stuff brings value to you, your family, it's such a great use of color. I think in Airtable that we don't talk a lot about, like, okay, 2 calendar views. One calendar view shows you just all the things you don't have to worry about. Because some bills I want to manage myself. I've got a credit card and I've got a client who hasn't been paying lately, and I'm just paying not the minimum, but I'm not paying it off. I want to pay. I want to decide how much that card gets paid, right? Until I get paid for my client. But that's different color calendar than, okay, LinkedIn Premium is redo at $700 a year, right? Does Bill Gates need another $700 to create implantable chips to rule the world? I don't think so. But
do you use LinkedIn Premium, or does your spouse?
I mean, I use it. I only use it for the InMail.
What is that?
So, with LinkedIn Premium, you basically can send anybody an email, even if you're not connected to them.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a way to instantly reach influential people. And you pay $700. You get 45 credits a year. I've never burned through them all. They don't let you roll them over. But like that's kind of the only real benefit, I think, to LinkedIn Pro. That and the other thing I like about LinkedIn Pro, I can hide my contacts. So if I link into someone, they can't crawl my contacts and try to connect to them. Because a lot of times people, and I always tell people, if you're listening to this show still, I don't know why, but don't connect to people on LinkedIn. This isn't a disco in 1977. You don't have to say yes to everybody who offers to dance. Stop. Think about how you're connected to people. You're not gonna, if someone's offended because you won't friend them or LinkedIn, they're not worth knowing. Think. No difference between here and there. It's the same. You know what I'm talking about? If you notice, like everybody will just connect to anybody.
Yeah, I get so many. I mean, right now I'll get like probably 2 a week, and as soon as I connect with them, they message me trying to sell me on something.
Yeah.
It's just always selling some sort of services.
Yeah, like here, I'll show you mine. Like I just, here, I'm going to go into my LinkedIn so you guys can see this. Like today, I got a couple people wanting to link into me. So what's the first thing I say? I don't say yes to the connection request. You see that? There's no yes here. I didn't say yes to this guy, right? Coursera, ex-Googler, right? So, hey, thanks for the connection request. Anything I can help you with? Because I'm not going to say yes and expose myself. So what's the first? Are you familiar with Coursera? We're an online education platform. Shakira took it and shared it with her folks. Well, first off, John, I'm not Shakira, right? Shika boom boom is not happening here, right? So I don't know. I see that you're UTA. Yes, United Talent represents me, right? Yeah. Would you like to learn more about that? Can you open to educate me? Why? And see, if I had said yes to this joker, instead of just saying, how can I help you with, he would have tried to just groom me. it's just creepy. You know what I'm saying? And then, but no, what did we get? This guy, ex-Googler, trying to tell me that I'm worth his time because Shakira uses a product he has to sell now because things didn't work out at Google.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
really
John, your lack of success doesn't guarantee access to my contacts. Just go back to Google. Bye now.
I don't like the X Google or X test like that stuff.
Oh my
I don't get
God.
why people put their old companies in there.
Because people are obsessed with influence. You know, there's a reason my LinkedIn doesn't say speaker. Because if you have to tell someone you're a speaker, you're not. There's a reason my Twitter doesn't say influencer or thought leader. Because you have to tell someone you're not. People are obsessed with wanting to feel important because they're so lonely in their accomplishments. You are valid whether you've got 1 follower or 5,000. The problem is you keep checking. Stop. You don't need an Airtable to feel important. You need a heart. Start there. Off the rails.
The mic has been dropped.
Mic has been dropped. Well, I've got my Zoom keyboard now. I can drop the Zoom keyboard.
That's pretty sweet. So you can do everything on.
Yeah,
I've never
it's
done one of those.
Yeah. You don't have to touch the Zoom. You just press the keys. I don't want to press anything right now because I've got one here that ejects the person I'm speaking to. Don't ask me how that works. Somehow it gets into your house and throws you out of your chair. What do you think, Rocket? Okay.
Chris, so now I'm in a dilemma. So now I've added the emoji to one of my Airtable bases. And so now the top left one.
Everything looks ugly. I know.
Nothing else. Everything else is black and white. Nothing else had. But my question for you is, have you ever viewed your bases in a list on the workspace level?
No, I didn't know you could do that. How do you switch that?
So in the top left corner, for me, it's right under where it says.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh, that's cute.
Have you ever used that?
No, I've never used it.
I dislike the way it looks compared to the card layout.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you like that or not.
No, I've never done that. I know that. For me, changing my main base icon or changing my base name, I've changed it a few times. It's kind of like just putting new wallpaper on your phone. It feels good for a bit. Every now and then I'll just change the description in the base just so when I log in, because I always love when you first create in the description on the base, you log in the first time, it pops up, tells you why you're there. It just feels good. It's like the fact that you don't really have keys to a 7-Eleven because the doors are never locked. It should just look good. I don't know. What are we going to talk about next? I think that's it. Oh, I forgot to anoint the area tonight. Anoint the area. Okay. It's been anointed. Did we cover enough Airtable goodness this week? Oh, I got my score, my heart score.
What was it? How'd it go?
Should I do this live? Are we still live on the air?
Yeah, we are still live on the air.
Okay, so it's called a calcium scoring test.
Is that the thing you wore for a little while?
No, I'll tell you about that one in a minute. That's a whole other test I got back because I just got a bunch of tests back. Calcium scoring test. Where's this? It's oh, here we go. All right, so
is it in your Airtable?
Of course. But I'm not going to bring that up. So this is a calcium scoring test. So the way we wear a monitor, and so basically, you get some plaque. You can see over here some pictures of plaque. You can see this white stuff. So this is when people say clogged arteries, you ever hear people talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
So the scoring goes up to 1,000, right? So at 1,000, you've got a lot of plaque. You probably have a heart attack within a year. Not good. 0. So most people don't have a calcium scoring test that's very low, just because it's normal. I mean, unless you're a teenager, you're not going to have really high score because you haven't lived enough. You haven't eaten enough bad stuff. So drum roll. Let me see if I can find the actual score here. This is my calcium scoring. Okay, drum roll. Let me bring it up. Can't believe I'm showing my test results live on the air. That's okay. Your total calcium score is 0.
That's awesome.
I literally have he said he'd never seen anyone as old as me with a 0. I'm like, oh, you think it could be right? But I've been taking baby aspirin since I was 30. because like I was always afraid of a heart attack, health anxiety, all that good stuff. So that was perfect. All the blood results came back perfect. The little sensor I wore, and I showed you the heart monitor thing I created. So the good news is it came back all regular rhythms, so never any kind of crazy sinus rhythm, or not. Sinus is regular, I think, but never any. But I did have a couple PVCs and PACs, which are like early heartbeats and late heartbeats, and a lot of people have those. If you've ever been tired or exhausted, your favorite heart like flutter a little bit. When I get super anxious, I notice that a lot, but he said those are not a big deal. The only test, and then my carotid artery and my aortic artery, they check those for plaque to make sure you're not having an aneurysm. Getting old is hard. And those were totally clear. So that was really good. The only thing I haven't had done yet was the cardiac stress test. You're going to think I'm crazy. I literally went to the office to do it, and the front desk person was not wearing her mask. This is the third time I've been there where she hasn't had her mask off. When someone walks in, she pulls it up. So I said to the nurse, I said, listen, I know I'm supposed to do this today, but I can't. She said, why? I'm like, well, we're in a cardiac office, right? And like most of your patients are like 70s and 80s, and they're wheezing and, they have to be helped in, like people on walkers and stuff. I said, and whenever I come here, she's not wearing a mask. And of course I get my phone, right? And I pull up my pictures on my phone because you know me. I'm always recording everything. Like I'll bring this up, right? And I said, I'd like to show you your front desk person when I walked in today. So I bring up this little video here. Let's play this here of me walking in, recording this woman, right? Because she's never got her mask up. I said, I want to ask you a serious question. How am I supposed to feel safe when the person who speaks to the oldest, most vulnerable patients doesn't wear a mask? How do I know what she does when she goes home? Why would I want to do anything with your office? She said, well, that's a really good point, Mr. Dancy. But I assure you, she probably was just taking a break. I'm like, maybe once, maybe twice. 3 times. And I because I made a montage of this monster at the front desk. You know me, I will put music to it, right? Like, oh no. Like I'll TikTok her butt, right? So she was like, okay, you're a really good point. So they literally scheduled me to go back for the last test, but they're like, you're probably fine because everything's fine. Like in the middle of next month while she's on vacation.
Nice.
So let that be a lesson to you people. Your health provider it's not the end all be all. You are. So if they're doing stuff that never ever let an overweight, unhealthy doctor be your doctor. Don't let anyone who's not pretty put Botox in your face. Simple rules, people. Simple.
We went off the rails. A little bit early today.
But that was good. I mean, and he loved the Airtable, the health, the findings and stuff like that. They just thought that was just great.
More stuff?
I know Rebecca said she's working on kind of doing her stuff, but we need to, Ben, you and I need to like make it a point in the next couple of months to do a video a week, at least one, where we do something like health on Airtable, any of these things. Maybe we can do your health records from your Oura Ring.
We could do we could do me, but build the systems around all of.
Yeah. Optimize Ben.
Yeah. Optimize Ben. It can be a series.
And then we'll do Rebecca's spiritual practices.
Oh, one thing that came up for me this week was, so I'm thinking about changing some of my marketing stuff instead of directly gearing it towards Airtable, and starting to gear more towards like the results that someone would get from using Airtable in their business, for like those kind of videos. So like instead of like I sell databases and automations, it's like controls of your business and insight into like the KPIs. And so I was really focusing on like what is a KPI? And then I was thinking back to stuff we talk about, and I was like, how can I incorporate values into that? Now, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but I was like KVI, so key value indicator. And I thought that was really hot, personally.
Yeah.
I'd run it past you guys since we are live here. And
So do you know what OKRs are? OKR?
Objectives and key results.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a goal setting framework, but I've seen people put value into that. I think what you need to do is, especially when you're working with businesses, is that saying I say all the time, we don't know how to measure what we care about, so we care about what we measure. You just have to start telling the businesses, listen, I'm not here to teach you how to build a system or to do all these. I'm here to find out what you care about and then build a system around that. Right? Because some businesses, will be honest, their whole business is like that guy from LinkedIn. His whole thing is like, I'm an ex-Googler and I don't want to sell you Shakira's Coursera. No, but that's what matters to him, right? So I think you know, we're missing a world. It's one of the reasons I love Rebecca and working with you and Devin, everyone. Like, y'all know what you care about. Devin cares about chicken bones. Rebecca cares about supporting her family, and Ben, you care about making businesses optimized. Hell, you got a sweatshirt on it, right? I don't know what I care about. I care about.
Don't you have a whole Airtable table for it? Isn't 40% delivering
Actually, I
value
do.
to others?
I do. It's my values table. But I think, again, if you could actually create Airtables that were based on values, I think that's a good thing.
So humble.
Rebecca, do you do anything with values in Airtable? Like, will you write down what's important to you? Do you write it down anywhere, or do you just keep it all up here?
I'm working on that because I have very bad ADHD, so they need to be in an Airtable, but my Airtables are pretty niche up until this point.
Okay. Well, I am going to be doing a collaboration soon with Marie Pullen. She's a very famous notioner. And we'll be actually talking about ADHD and other forms of neurodiversity and how these tools help. So maybe good to go there. All right, Ben, I think we did good. We're at the 1 hour mark. Do you think did we do a good job this week?
We did a stellar job, amazing job. Thank you all for coming.
And if you're watching this video and you made it this far, you can always contact us. We're here to help.
We are indeed here to help. You can contact privately Chris@chrisdancy.com for email, or he's very active on Twitter. I don't want to speak for him, but he's very active on Twitter.
Very active on Twitter.
Me, you can go to the website in the description of the YouTube video, www.optimizeis.com.
I'm always available in the Facebook group.
Yes.
You can't miss Rebecca on Facebook. She has a stunning photo. Don't stalk her, though. Stop being creepy, guys.
All right. Well, we are going off the live, so thank you all for coming, and we will see you soon.